Afromedia Canada is coming to you from Ottawa, the capital of the Canadian federal government. We featured the uncovered story on our radio and social media platforms. Many thanks to you for sharing yours with us. It is always a memorable experience to host a leading personality or to debate a topic of common interest. All opinions are welcome. However, they do not reflect the views of Afromedia channels. We are not liable for any legal consequences.
One of the best-selling authors in her field, she surprises us with her insightful content and untold human stories. On an ongoing basis, J.S. Wolfe is our honorable guest, following up on Wolfe autistic and diversification activity is very inspiring. Thank you so much, best author and international author Wolfe, for being here. Welcome to the show. It's very inspiring to follow your great publication. Please tell us about your latest book, please.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Really, I really appreciate it. Well, my last book is a memoir, and it's called The Pathology of Innocence. It's right there. That's me and my dog, and I even put his name as co-author. It's a memoir about the journey I had to take in my life to find post-traumatic growth and healing, and using animals and trees to help me learn lessons. So that's what the book is about.
Great. So let me show a little bit. Your website is very rich of content, and there's a lot of things to learn for sure. So let me see some of especially your last book. Okay, here's the website. Okay, a lot of this is Wolfe Sound Involution Publishing. So you have a lot of work here. You have article, press release, spiritual journey, emotional gym, and the dog trial, and more. I like that, emotional gym. Great. And there's a lot of content here. And what is surprising to me is this letters to all the murders. I love it. Do you love murders? That's amazing. This is the first time I hear that. Somebody loves his murder. Or murderers in plural even. That's a lot of toleration. Please tell me about this.
Yeah. Well, I loved to research them. I was fascinated with how they are made and what they're made of. Like it's so strange. It really got my interest, and I basically chased them for 20 years of my life, visiting prisons, and I went to mental institutions to talk to people, and then I realized people among us are more dangerous than any criminal I met on death row, because they're not, like, the people around us are not obvious, but the ones who are real criminals are, more or less straightforward. However, the book is meant to be a humorous take on a dark subject. So I think the part on the website is just a little tiny comic book that is meant for some humor and entertainment. So I don't actually love them in that sense. I just love the research, and I love the work that came out of it, and the lessons. I learned amazing lessons from the worst among us. And that's where my work is. The heart of my work is when I noticed how this whole world of Buddhism converged with psychopathy. Like, a lot of people think that, Buddhism talks about non-attachment, that it turns all of a sudden into almost psychopathic indifference. So I write books to raise awareness on the difference, and how to hold on to our empathy, the genuine, kind empathy. So yeah. So I am grateful. I am grateful for the killers and murderers that I talked to and read about and researched, because if it wasn't wasn't for this, I wouldn't have learned a lot about life. And you know,
Great.
that's
Thank you
it's
so much.
ironic. It's ironic in a way.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
want to go on your page on Instagram. I like this
sure.
introduction here on your profile saying, Wolf Sound, journey with me into a place somewhere much better than here. The unfolding, a journey of involution, the pathology of innocence, the psychopath. What is that
Yeah,
place
it's
of
an
your favorite
inner place.
journey? Yes. Yeah.
It's an inner place. There's a place inside us that is very beautiful. It's very peaceful. It's grounded, and also it has its shadows and scary things, because life is full of light and dark and duality, and which is fine. So the journey inside is very beautiful, because even when it's painful and scary, there is a way out of it. There is a simple way out of it. A lot of gurus and teachers, they talk about the same truth, because the truth doesn't change. So it, as a headline, it might sound cliche, but what I'm trying to do differently is to simplify, is to dig deeper into what they really mean. Like, all you need is love, or you need to be mindful, and empathy and forgiveness. What are these things? And a lot of people don't really get it, get what they mean, or they don't, or they go through a beautiful journey, and then they make mistakes again, and then they beat themselves up. And I want them to be comfortable with also making mistakes, so it's an intricate, very careful journey about how people can find real peace even when things are really dark.
Great. A lot of wisdom here and insight. Be comfortable with your mistakes and love your murders. When I go through more of your quotes, for example, I'm on this, it says, our worth is inherent and then therefore is never on the negotiation table. What do you mean by that?
Oh, a lot of people, they connect their self-worth with things that have nothing to do with it. Like, for example, somebody leaves you, and then immediately you think that you're worthless, or somebody tells you that you're worthless, and then you start to believe it and internalize it. Um, a lot of times in Egypt, especially, I noticed that if you deal with any business or a person, and they make a mistake, or something happens, as it usually does, and then you say, well, it was supposed to be this way and it didn't happen, or you promised this and didn't deliver. You're discussing something that is very pragmatic, but the person takes it to mean that they are not worthy, that they have no worth. And worth is not part of that equation, because everybody who was created and alive on the planet has worth. Nobody can take it away, and nothing. It's not about what you do or what you don't do. You're if you're here, you are worthy. So
Great.
if only people disconnect that worth, then
Okay.
they will feel a lot better. The ego will shut down a little bit.
Thank you so much. And when I go through
Yeah.
this quote on a different page, I'm shocked by this. We live in a shame culture. What's a shame there?
A lot of the conflict you observe between people,
Yeah.
is very shame based. Like, if I make a mistake, uh, a lot of people will jump to shame me for it, instead of allowing me to make mistakes and correct them. If somebody makes a mistake, they feel so much shame that they deflect and deny that it happened, or they blame somebody else. A lot of the conflict is really coming from an embedded shame that that has not been resolved. And the problem is that people shame each other and they shame themselves, and then you find the whole mess of this big fight, a big conflict that could have been resolved if the shame wasn't there. So it's very important to discuss this, because it will really resolve so many problems, so many
And when I
interpersonal problems.
Great. And when I go deep a little bit, I got this different quote or nice, inspiring line saying it's time to release the toxicity, the toxicity. How to release it?
It depends on what it is. First of all, I don't believe that there is one method that helps everybody the same way, because
Mm,
we're very different and very complex human beings. That's why if I talk with somebody one on one, I have to listen to them first to know where the issue is or what they're comfortable doing. So there is no easy solution that applies for everybody. But the way we can start, for example, the first thing that I would say is be so okay with yourself as long as you're not harming anybody else, and have enough sense of self-worth that you remove anybody who is abusive from your life, or somebody who's just negative all the time, or someone who laughs at your dreams, like the things that all of us know. I'm not saying anything new here, but you'd be surprised how many people get addicted to their problems and get addicted to toxic relationships, because they don't see, they don't know any other way to be. It becomes some kind of an addiction.
great. Thank you so much. Okay, let me take this last quote and then I will go on a short break and we'll come back with million questions. After your permission, please. So we have the freedom to pursue whatever we desire, but we don't have the freedom to choose that which we desire. Why?
Yeah. We don't know what, like, we don't exactly know why we desire something. When you start to feel a pull towards something, it just happens. Like, you have no idea where it came from. Like, for example, with the writing, I didn't intentionally become a writer. I just
Mhm.
found myself moving my hand and writing, and I have no idea what this desire it was all about. Same with people desiring a person, desiring a certain line of work. It's almost something spiritual where it comes from. So, but we have the freedom to pursue it or not. We can say yes to it, or we can say no. I feel a certain desire towards something, and I have to discern: does this something serve me or harm me? But we don't really have a choice. You don't say, okay, I want to desire something. It just happens. You don't choose it. It just kind of chooses you, if you think about it.
Thank you so much. Let's go on a short break and we'll be back soon. Thank you after your
All
permission.
right.
Thank you.
Afromedia Canada is coming to you from Ottawa, the capital of the Canadian federal government. We featured the uncovered story on our radio and social media platforms. Many thanks to you for sharing yours with us. It is always a memorable experience to host a leading personality or to debate a topic of common interest. All opinions are welcome. However, they do not reflect the views of Afromedia channels. We are not liable for any legal consequences.
Welcome back again. Thank you so much. Right now, let me start asking different question. What literary pilgrimage have you gone on? Hello? My question is, what literary
The
pilgrimages have
sound,
you
I
gone
can't hear you
on?
very well.
Okay, let me try
Hello?
again. I say, what literary pilgrimages have you gone on, please? Hello? You are not hearing me again, so you have an issue. Hello? I say, what literary pilgrimage have you gone through? Hello? Hello, my question is, what literary pilgrimages have you gone on, please? Hello, I'm losing you. Hopefully you will be back soon. So my question was, so let me play a short break until you are back, please. Okay, welcome back.
Yes,
Welcome back.
hi.
Yeah. Now you can? Good. Okay.
Yes.
My question was, what literary pilgrimages have you gone on, please? The pilgrimage of your own literature, please.
Oh, it's been so profound. It's
Yes.
lifelong. I feel sometimes that I had a million lives in one. The most significant journey. Well, first of all, I traveled to so many countries and lived in different places and different cultures. Uh, but the one that really changed my life was doing like the plant medicine, shamanic plant medicine with incredible group of people that was worth of 100 years of therapy. So every stage of my life was marked by something very significant. But the plant medicine journey gave me groundedness and creativity and this deeper wisdom that I didn't have access to before, I would say.
Thank you so much for that answer. Please, can you remember what is the first book that made you cry, please?
Oh, that's a good question.
I told you we have so many questions waiting for you. It's a long time that
Well,
we did see you, almost 2 years right now. First time was, I think, in the COVID time. Yeah, it's 1920.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's why it's a lot of questions waiting for you. Thank you.
Oh, wow. I don't remember. Well, the books I read early on were something like, oh, I remember
Good,
the first book that made me cry.
good.
Actually, it was a book we had to read at school, and it's quite surprising. They made us read it at the German school, and in German it's called Die Sache mit Christoph, and in English it means the thing with Christoph. And that Christoph character was, the friend in school that is almost like a natural rock star, but he wasn't like really rock star in the sense like the tortured soul. Like he was a tortured soul. He had one best friend and he wasn't social. And in the end, he kills himself. And I was in such shock. I was horrified that the story ended this way, especially we were young and it was a school book. But he couldn't deal with life. And I cried a lot. And this character stayed with me for a very long time. I had no idea what would make such a young boy be. He was so profound. He was so intense, and the ending was really sad because he was very intelligent and creative. Like he was like everybody else who doesn't know their worth. and just focuses on the darkness, and then it ends very badly. But the guy was very special, that Christophe. Wow, thank
Great.
you for reminding me of that book.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that unhappy ending. Let me move you a little bit from that happy ending. So I will take it to a different question right now, please. Talking about the publishing industry, what is the most unethical practice in that industry, please?
Oh, they're gonna hate me so much right now.
Not to that extent, just something a little diplomatic. Not to that way.
Okay,
Nobody should
so
hate you at all. After all of this, you love the murderers and you are comfortable with the mistakes. Nobody can hate you anymore.
yes, exactly. Wow. Okay, so the publishing industry. Okay, first of all, I don't like the way everything works when it comes to this whole bureaucracy, like this industry of how to submit to a publisher, and who gets marketed properly and who doesn't, and it's a mess. I think a lot of authors deserve a little bit more dignity when the publishers deal with them. And the second thing is that a lot of them get, from what I came across, I don't know about everybody, but they get like about 90% of your royalties. So after all the tears and the sweat and the psychosis, and you have this book, and then somebody comes in, they decide on the cover and they decide on the content, and yeah, you get your name but nothing else. It's hard. I agree that authors need to let go also of, like, they don't get too attached to the work so they can collaborate with others. But the way it's happening, to get a New York bestseller, you need to be recommended, and I think it's a whole system that no regular author will get. That's what I understand. So I wish um, that publishers would judge the content really, and but also they are drowning in submissions, so it's very hard to say. But the 90% royalties, I'll be damned if I let this happen to any of my books. It's not gonna happen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, let me take
Yeah.
you a little bit to writing itself. Does writing energize or exhaust you, please?
If it exhausts me,
Does writing itself as a process energize or exhaust you, please?
both. It does both.
Good,
When
good combination.
it yes, it exhausts me when I think about it before I actually sit down and do it. The thought of sitting down, I have to write something, it exhausts me, but also it can torture me enough to say, okay, I'm gonna just do it. And I wake up and at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and I get the work done. Then I get invigorated and energized after.
So writers have no time. They can write anytime,
You
even
can
late,
write
3, 4
anytime.
in the morning.
For me, that time everybody is sleeping. There is spirit speaks to me at those hours more than any other time of the day. All the
Wow.
books were written in those hours.
And it took you 20 years to write your book in those early hours, 3, 4 in the morning. That's amazing. That's really exhausting.
No, 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 not 20 years of writing. No, 20 years since I conceived of it. And then it kept changing and changing because I was changing. And then I wrote it properly when the time was right, when I was grown enough or ripe enough with the experience to write it. Before that, if I had published it sooner, it would have been a horrible book because I was like younger, and It would have been me complaining. And no, this one has some peace with everything and a little bit of humor, a little clumsy.
What are the clumsiest one do you still remember right now?
The stories, yeah. I
Okay.
expose my clumsiness more than anything.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, here's my question. Does a big ego help or hurt writers, please?
It will always hurt anybody,
The
and
big
writers,
ego is always
you know,
hurting. You
the
think that the
ego
big
will always,
hurt? Yes.
yes, because um okay, so the ego is not always about it's my stuff or I am smarter than everybody. It's not always this way. It can also be uh when writers say they have a writer's block or whatever. I don't believe in writer's block. I believe that it's your ego paralyzing you with fear, or your ego is obsessing with your image. How am I going to sound to other people? And good writing will never come from that. So whenever I feel I'm too scared to write, I catch myself. I'm like, okay, I'm just being oppressive right now. It's not about me. I'm not even writing about me. I'm writing for others. It's a service. It's not about me or my talent. It doesn't matter. Like, who gives a shit about me? It's about it's about the service. Sorry if I can't curse on your show, but
Okay,
that's what
you can
happened.
do whatever you like, no problem. Yeah, yeah, very
Oh,
free
great.
here.
So the ego hurts anybody, whether it's a victim ego or the grandiose ego. It's We have to keep it in check because it will show in your writing, and it's not going to be good.
Thank you so much. Have you ever gotten reader's block yourself?
Yeah, but I learned later that it was fear. I was very scared.
Yeah, just
I was
fear.
very
Okay, good.
scared.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you try more to be original or to deliver to readers what they want? Please.
If I prefer to, what's the first one?
Do you try more to be original in your content or to deliver to readers what they want themselves? Which one do you like most, please?
Uh, if I try to deliver to the readers what they want, I will not produce anything good
Okay.
or original. And if I try to be original, uh, it will be very bad. The book also, it's not going to be readable. So the only thing I do is wake up and sit down, and that's it. And then I trust whatever voices come. There is a divine voice, I really believe in it, that speaks, and it flows. As long as my pen is moving, I will trust it. But if I interfere and try to do something, it sounds very awful,
Thank
like
you.
forced. It sounds forced, and my readers deserve better than that.
Thank you so much for that. Do you think someone could be a writer if they don't feel emotions strongly? Hello?
Yes,
Mhm.
because they can write. They can the thing with writing. I mean, there are a lot of non-writers right now that are writing books, by the way, which is hurting authors. Just if I may say, because Amazon is saturated right now. But anybody can write and publish a book. For example, if the person doesn't have deep emotions, but they can be extremely knowledgeable about business, or how to make money, or how to succeed, or even just share their own life story. They don't have to. It doesn't always have to be about deep emotions. Sometimes Sometimes it's about things that, like matter of fact things, you know.
Okay.
Anyway, I think a lot of different people can produce different kinds of writing. It doesn't have to be emotional.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, let me ask you about your books. Do you want each book to stand on its own, or are you trying to build a body of work with connections between each book, please?
I want both.
Okay,
I want
always great connection. Yes, best combinations. Yes,
I
please.
want it all. Yeah, I want each book to stand on its own, because each book is kind of its own energy. They are completely different in terms of energy, in terms of message. They're too different to be packaged in one thing. But I want one day maybe to be like the authors I admire, where they have a body of work, and it's also variable. Like each book can appeal to different people, and they all come from the same person. I like that combination.
Great. Thank you so much for that combination. Another question about writers, especially the first experience, writing experience itself. For example, when did you first realize you want to be a writer?
uh,
Back in history, I'm thinking taking you back to your preliminary age.
40 years ago.
Yeah,
uh,
good, good.
it-
But that feeling,
no,
that
I'll tell you.
first feeling, you really realize, yes, there's a writer in me and I really want to be a writer. When did you feel it? Do you remember the time?
Actually, that wasn't too long ago.
Okay.
I think just a few years ago, believe it or not, I was fighting against it my whole life. I've been
Oh,
writing since I was very little. Like, I've always been writing.
young
And
still.
my sister, yeah, and my sister always told me, you're a writer. You don't need to look at other, like, entertain, like filmmaking and stuff. You're a writer. And I'm like, leave me alone. I want to be I want to be something else. And she's like, but you're such a writer. And then I'd get angry and rebel. And then the next minute I would go into my room and I'm holding the pen, and she got come in and said, like, see, you're writing. You're not doing anything else. So I fought against it for so long, because a part of me thought, who am I to write? Like, who gives whatever about me writing anything? Or why would why would I write? It didn't make any sense to me. And also, I don't know what the reason is, but I was fighting against it for so long. And trust me, the universe did not leave me alone. Like, it was heavy until I listened and I said, okay, I'm gonna write. I'm not gonna do anything else anymore. And that's when my life started to take its course.
Thank you so
That's
much for
it.
that.
So it was,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Please, let me ask you about, for example, in an ordinary setting, how long does it take you to write a book? Let's say maybe your first or your second book. After being familiar with the process of writing, normally in an ordinary situation, how long it takes to write a book? Not very complicated, let's say, in the very beginning, just a simple, personal, original one, please.
The first published
Hello?
book took me 3 months, 3, 4 months. That's it. It didn't take longer than that. But I think because I was also sharing everything I know about human behavior, so I knew exactly what I'm writing. So it only took me a few months. It didn't take long. And the second one, like I said, the concept started 20 years ago or more. But the actual writing took me also just a couple of months. So a lot of the writing happens in your head first, so I can't really calculate, but in your head, and then you sit down. The sitting down doesn't take time if you prepare correctly.
Thank you so much for that answer. What would you say is, for example, like your work schedule, like when you are writing? What is your schedule for writing, please?
I would sleep between 8:30 9 p.m., wake up ideally at 3 a.m., and I write between 3 and 6 a.m. And then I sleep again to compensate. Like, I have to have the complete 8 hours, so I go back to sleep. And then I wake up, have my coffee, and then sit and continue writing until I'm done, until I want to sleep. That's intense when I'm about to publish something. It can take me about 12 hours at my desk, easy, and I don't feel the time. So it doesn't have to be this intense. People can just wake up early, write for 2 hours every day, and they will finish within a few months.
Thank you so much for all of this great insight. Okay. Where do you get your information or ideas for your book, please?
It depends. It depends. It depends on the book. It depends. The first one, The Unfolding: A Journey of Involution, was literally everything I learned throughout my life on human behavior. So about dealing with people, coaching actors, I learned so much about human behavior, character development, spirit animals, everything that has to do with all my life that I learned, I put in that book. The second one is a memoir, so it wasn't a specific inspiration. The third, Dear Psychopath, it comes from all my research on the ground with criminals and people that are on the loose among us. But I would suggest also what I write, my other stuff that I didn't publish, or maybe on my blog post, I get inspired by music. I love Nick Cave. I love Depeche Mode. Of course, to each their own. Like, you can listen to inspiring music, blues, whatever. And you read a lot. You have to read for other inspiring authors. Listen to people. Dr. Gabor Mate is one of my biggest life resetters, I would say. So different things: walking, dogs, going to the park. That's it. I can't see you.
What about, for example, apart from the daily schedule of writing for 2 or 3 hours early in the morning, what is your writing process like? Do you write on a paper and you edit, or do you write on the screen? How you organize yourself in the writing process itself, please?
I always have a pen and paper, so I'm always writing pen and paper, except when I'm writing into my blog, I type it right away. For books, which I highly recommend to other authors, is to start with the character development and outline. Your outline is your saving grace. Once you have the outline, then you can write directly into the laptop. But there's always the pen and paper are amazing to always keep, because ideas can come at any moment, even in your sleep. So pen and paper are main are the main thing.
Okay, thank you so much for all of this. We are coming almost to the end of the show. My last question is, what advice do you have for young writers, please?
My advice is to just sit down and write. Don't worry about the editing while you're writing. Don't listen to anybody. I would suggest also don't share your work in progress because a lot of people can crush your dreams. Author groups are incredible. Authors tend to be very, very supportive of each other. So it's a great community usually. But keep the bubble of your writing until you produce something and then share it. Don't be afraid to share it. Everybody has something unique to say. And I have one piece of advice. I always, whenever I'm afraid, I imagine the end of my life and I look back. Hindsight is 2020, and I say, oh my God, it would have been so easy to just sit down and write. So I go back and do the job. Just don't worry about anybody's feedback until you're finished. And get a good editor also. Get a very good editor. And one person to trust. Just one person is enough.
You can trust only one? You can trust only one. Okay. Thank you so much for those great insight and techniques and tips. Thank you so much to the international bestseller author J.S. Wolfe in Middle East for being a permanent guest on the show. Thank you so much. Until we meet again, wishing you all the best you wish for yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Afromedia Canada
you.
is coming to you from Ottawa, the capital of the Canadian federal government. We featured the uncovered story on our radio and social media platforms. Many thanks to you for sharing yours with us. It is always a memorable experience to host a leading personality or to debate a topic of common interest. All opinions are welcome. However, they do not reflect the views of Afromedia channels. We are not liable for any legal consequences.